Hello, everybody. Don't know what to say, really. Don't know where to start. Welcome to the relegation show. I didn't know what else to do with myself, to be honest. I was waiting for Talk Sport to call me at 6, and I was on there, and so I didn't go out straight after the game. And I mean, I don't feel like going out boozing, although I've got Strongbow doing a cloudy cider, so I thought I'd give that a try. I'm up at early in the morning. 5 Live have been on. We're national news now. You know what I mean? It's just everybody wants to know about the first team relegated to the National League that used to be in the Premier League. We are that story. So I didn't know what else to do. So I thought I'd just get on here and let us all have a chat, talk about how we're feeling, and we'll stay here as long as we need to. So I'll bring Aaron in because he's the first one in the queue. All right, bud, how are you doing?
Hey mate, I don't know what to. I just don't know where to start with it all. I came out today. I left. So I left literally as soon as they announced over the tannoy that the game had been abandoned. And just to point out something I said on the radio as well. I said, well, because I don't know whether you was listening to Radio Manchester earlier, but obviously I understand that they have to do like match reports and have to call it like professionally. But that, for me, the people on the pitch today showed more fight and passion and desire for the state of this football club than any of them directors have done for the last 4 years. And I think that tells you everything when the majority of them were kids who were 13, 14, 15-year-old kids. That they don't know what's going on. And obviously we can't condone it, but I've got to take, in one sense, I've got to take my hat off to everyone that did that, because like you say now, even though it's a little bit too late, it's amazing. People want to know now, like they didn't want to know, maybe not know to the scale that they want to know now 6 months ago. And I think it just shows how powerful like platforms like this are for yourself, and how powerful the fan base can be if they all unite under one umbrella. And that's the one crumb of optimism and hope that I'm keeping hold of today, that like we've got a fan base that if we all pull together, we can, we can get something back eventually. It's gonna take years. It'll probably take years to get anywhere near back to where we've been, but we just all need to stick together. And I know, I don't know about you, Matt, but I feel numb. I just feel deflated. I mean, I've gone through stages today. It didn't upset me when I was leaving the football at all. And then I got home and I seen, obviously, Sky Sports officially announced we were relegated. Latics put the tweet out, and when that tweet hit, I just burst into tears, mate. Just burst into tears, because like I can't explain it. I just never thought it'd happen to us. Naively, you know what I mean? Even though it's been coming for probably longer with the people before him as well. Like, it's been coming. You just don't want to ever see it happen to your football club. And I feel, in a way, I feel a lot for the younger generation of fans, because they've grown up and seen maybe two relegations in the 5-10 years stint that most of them have been going to the football.
Mate,
Me.
I'm 44 years old, right? So I'm no spring chicken. We've had 2 promotions since 1974.
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah, just I totally get what you're saying, and I do agree with you that they've seen nothing. But even if you've supported Latics for a long, long time, you've seen very, very little to shout about. We've had like a few years here and there, and it's been tough going. And today is undoubtedly the lowest point of that. I mean, this is the thing tonight. I think, I don't know how many toilet breaks I'll have to have this evening, but like, you've touched on loads of great points. I mean, even when you talk about the fans and the unity of the fans, I've listened to people on. I didn't actually catch you on the radio earlier on, but I heard other people talking, people outside the ground talking about the fans, My brother wasn't particularly happy about the fans going on the pitch when they did. There's a lot of people who thought maybe they should have left it until it happened very spontaneously, didn't it? It kind of
Yeah.
happened down in that corner near the Chaddy end.
I mean, I think hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And I think on reflection, that's probably the only thing that we could say maybe we could have changed. The fact if they could have waited till the 90 minutes and it would have been confirmed, then yes, go for it completely. But to me, like I said, I can't be angry at a group of fans that have took it into their own hands. You know what I mean? We've stood up and be counted for tonight, and I think that's important. Although it hurts and it breaks my heart now that it's done. Like, it needed to happen. It's like, I feel like you said though, none of them have got the bollocks to be there. You know what I mean? They don't
it's
have the
embarrassing,
bollocks
isn't
to
it?
do it.
It's embarrassing.
And I don't know. And like, there's a big part of me that feels a little bit for, especially Shez, because I think today summed up what a man Shez is. For all he knew, probably he was coming in and it was going to be a little bit too much to chew. And yes, maybe I've said it a couple of times this season. Maybe he's got a couple of tactical things wrong, but that was never gonna save anything. He's not Jesus, you know what I mean? He can, you know what I mean? Like, he's Jesus to us, but he can't polish a turd. And I think I've got so much more respect for him tonight that he was the one to come back out and try and speak to the fans. You know what I mean? There was 300 fans on that pitch, and he was in the middle of that speaking to them. And for me, that earns my respect.
Shez is this is why we love him. He's I would expect anybody that has caused a situation like this to step up and face the music, and they have repeatedly just shirked away from it and hidden away. I'm just going to say something now. I've got Simon and Tim. I don't know if you can both hear me, but it says your devices are not connected and you're waiting here. And Joe, I can see you, mate, and I'm going to bring you in a second. So just because I'm winging this completely, like, I don't, this is just let's just get. I've got so many comments coming in. I can't get them all out there. We're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter this evening, and it's just a case of. I mean, I was prepared for tonight to a degree, but I didn't think, Aaron, that it was going to be tonight. I thought that one of those teams would lose, or I thought maybe we might get, even if we got a draw. I didn't think it was going to happen today, to be honest with you.
You know what, as well, and you might have heard me and my dad speak about it because you stood with us for a while. For as much as it hurts, and I know this is probably not going to win me a lot of fans on the fan base, you have to stand up and give credit to Stevenage and Barrow, I think, because they have done what we should have done. The players themselves as well. I've got the players definitely need to stand up and be accountable, in the sense of, we know that the players aren't at the level, and that's fine. But like, if we go back to Northampton last week, for instance, they give up. In my eyes, that was when I realized, shit, like, we're fucked now. But I don't know if we can swear on here or not.
All right, don't worry about it.
And they just seem to give in. And then if you look at the Barrow squad and look at the Stevenage squad, they just seem to have done it, and they richly deserve it. And even though it comes to at our expense, we don't deserve to be here anymore based on the amount of gutless performances we've put in this year. And yes, the quality and the standard has not been there, but the number one principle at any level of football is that you try hard in every match you play. And for some matches this season, I question the work ethic of the group of players. I really do.
I think the thing is with today, it was like typical of the season. Like, they started really well. They looked a much more dangerous team going forward today. And they started creating chances, and then all of a sudden, just a soft goal out of nothing.
Yeah.
And you're chasing the game again, aren't you? And it's just, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't come down to football. It doesn't come down to the football, does it? It comes down to each game, like you're saying, but it comes down to recruitment. It comes down to how the club's been run for the last however many games. I'm going to see if Joe can. I think Joe is having a bit of trouble with his connection, because he seems to be freezing. Also, Tim and Simon, I don't know if you can hear me, but it says your devices are not connected.
Do you want me to dip out, or can
No,
multiple people
no,
come at once?
no. I think that we've got. I don't know. People are maybe just struggling getting in or whatever. So I've just kicked them out anyway. So hopefully they can come back in. But if any of you want to come in, there's a link in the. I pinned a tweet top of the OAFC podcast Twitter page, and I pinned a post on top of the OAFC podcast Facebook page. So if you want to join in, just click on that link. And you can also send me a message directly at OAFC podcast, and I'll try and I'll just read out I've just had a message from the Borough Stevenage podcast who we had on Football Phone in recently,
He's a great
and they've
boy,
just
Matt.
said, yeah, sorry.
Is that Matt Farley? Yeah.
No, it's from another podcast. They have a couple actually. This is from Borough Pod, but he said, "Hey chaps, just want to check in and say hard luck on that. I really wanted Oldham to survive at Barrow's expense, but it's not gone that way. Hopefully, relegation triggers the owners to fuck off. Good luck, lads." So I think we do have a lot of love for us around the football community. I think people appreciate Oldham Athletic and what we are. And it's just going to be so much hard work ahead. I think you mentioned it there, Aaron. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to just bounce back. This is going to be very, very difficult, and we need to survive. First and foremost, we need to keep our heads above water.
I think that's the scary thing for me, is to just get into a position where August comes around and we've got a team to compete in the conference. I think that's our biggest battle next. Let's forget about the transfer window or forget about what's going to happen next year. We need to solidify that we're still going to have the name and the club Oldham Athletic come August. And I think at the minute, if it wasn't for the wonderful work people like you and the trust are doing, I think we would be gone a long time ago. And I'm just very cautious now heading into the summer months, that I feel like it could go either way, and hence why things like this and things like the fund and things like the fans forum that you're running on the 12th of May, we can talk about till we're blue in the face. But Pete, if I could urge anything tonight, and people need to turn up to these events, because they need to. This club is nothing. One thing that's proven to me this season is something that we probably all knew. This club, and no football club, is nothing without its fan base. And now's the important time. Now's the time, for as much as we feel upset and devastated, we need to save our fan base together. Sorry, save our club together, collectively, as one big united unit. And I'm just hopeful that we can do that in the summer, and I'm going to do anything possible now to make that a reality, really.
I mean, we are limited in what we can do and what we can control. It's going to take time. It's going to take money. It's going to take Abdallah to want to leave the club and accept and cut his losses, because he's not going to get the ridiculous kinds of money that he wants for it. He has made a mess of this. He has wasted his own money. He has failed, and it's his. He has some. If he's got, he must have personal wealth, because he's put some of it in. He's mismanaged it. He must have money left over. This is just going to keep costing him money. He needs to just cut his losses and say, you know what, hold my hands up. I've made a mess of this. The longer I'm here, the worse it gets for everybody. I need to go. What worries me is who he may hand over the club to in the meantime, because we need to get this right. We need to get this right this time, because we've got it wrong over the years so many times. It is what it is. There's no point blaming anybody and pointing fingers. We are where we are. But this time, we need people that are coming into the club for the right reasons and that want to create a sustainable community football club like we deserve.
And the thing that resonates with me, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I don't know whether you watched the second part of Craig Davis's Under the Cosh interview the other week. He was on speaking about Abdallah, and he said something that I kind of believe in and kind of think probably similar to him. He said, if you look at like our situation compared to Bury's situation, for instance, I think Steve Dale was a vermin of a creature. Like he went in there to absolutely destroy a football club top and bottom, and that was his aim. Whereas with Abdallah, I feel like he's doing that, but he's doing that because of how incompetent he is. I don't actually, maybe I'm just a little bit naive, but I refuse to believe that he's maybe purposely got us to this point. He's just involved himself with the wrong people. And the thing is, we know now, 4 years on the bounce, him and his brother are two of the most stubborn people I think I've ever heard. Like, they're not prepared to acknowledge the wrongs, and when you don't do that, you're never going to get anywhere, do you? And but so I don't feel like they ever came in to purposely destroy the football club, but I feel like this is where we are now, and obviously they need to go because it's just going to get worse and worse. And like somebody said after me on Radio Manchester, I reckon if they're here in the summer and we do start the National League, we'll be in the National League North before we're anywhere near League Two.
Sorry, this is the worry. I get a lot of people asking like, what's happening, what's going on, what's next. We need to absorb this. We need to make a point of what's happening. I think we need to do something visual at Tranmere for those of us that are going to go. The obvious things to think of. We always, last away game of the season is fancy dress. We could go as clowns, or we could all just wear black, all black, something like that.
As a Grim Reaper.
And just kind of like to signify what they've done. It's going to be very, very weird being at Tranmere relegated. They're going to give us so much stick, and rightly so. You know what I mean? We'll have to put up with that. Crawley, the atmosphere of the Crawley game. I wouldn't be doubts about whether that's going to go ahead.
I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if they put that game behind closed doors, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But let's bring Alison in. And Alison, you can tell us how you're feeling this evening.
Oh yeah, just totally devastated. Just heartbreaking. Feel heartbroken. Just no real words to say. Just gutted, absolutely gutted. I felt the same as you, really. Thought might not happen today. We might just be able to do it, and then felt gutted when it got abandoned, but I kind of understand why everybody did what they did and went on the pitch because they feel so strongly about it. But I just don't get, taking away all the emotion and the passion and everything else as a Latics fan. But if you just, as a human being, I just don't get why somebody would want to stay at the club when they know that every single person just hates them. There's just so much hatred for them, and I just don't understand why you would want to be anywhere where you know everybody hates you. I don't get it.
I don't understand why you would want to create such an environment for yourself. Why would you want to do that? Why would you? In June of last year, PTB got a petition. 3,000 people signed it and said, "Look, just sell the club," and they wouldn't even acknowledge it at boardroom level. Like they've just the disdain that they've treated the fans with, regardless of what people think about people going on the pitch this afternoon. My thing about that was I thought, you know what? Abdallah's going to go there. The fans have relegated us here.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want that for him. I didn't want him to be able to turn around and say that because the fans haven't relegated us here. You have, Abdallah and Mohammed and Adam, the board of Oldham Athletic. And that board included Barry Owen at one point and the fan, Richard Borden. It's only ever been a small board. One of the the main man is in Dubai. Moore's back and forth here in Germany. Like, if they think that is, they've been pissing around with our football club since they joined it, since they started. It's a disgrace what they've done to it and how they've treated it. And no wonder that we're all livid and heartbroken because we know now that it's going to be a massive struggle to get back where we should be. Look at what's I don't know. I don't know.
No words. I know.
Let's bring Andy in. All right, Andy.
How you doing, mate? All right.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you. Not too bad. Yeah, I just flashed off because I didn't know I was actually going to be on. It's just like, so apologies for that. Yeah, this is going to sound a little bit contrary. I felt worse when we got relegated from League One than I did now. I think it was the shock factor when we got relegated from League One. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was happening. This one, I've kind of, because I live so far away.
Where do you live, mate?
I live in Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
So I'm kind of a bit detached, and I've kind of accepted the fact that I thought we were going to go down at the start of the season, and it didn't really change. It just kept going and going. We went to a few games when Shez came back. Took my lad, and I mean, loved it, and it felt like we had kind of had the club back a bit. But then I went to Walsall away, and it felt it felt even then it was slipping away a bit. It's just not. We weren't, like you say, we weren't set up to play in League Two. We were just. I watched that Walsall game, and it was like men against boys.
We've been bullied so often in this league.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. I mean, it doesn't take a footballing genius to work out what you've got to do. It's just, even that's on the field. Off the field, you've got a whole can of worms. You know, that is just we're reaping what we've sowed. It's quite simple.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think language is really important in football, because we say we, don't we, all the time when we talk about our club. It's we, us. You know what I mean? We're a collective, aren't we? And like it's like footballing wise, we've got what we deserve, but as fans, we haven't got what we deserve, have we?
No,
there's definitely a distinction, isn't there?
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, I've kind of watched Lincoln go through it a few years ago, and they had the nationwide league. Were in there for a good 3 or 4 years, and they've bounced back in quite a big way. I do kind of think that the only thing that we've found out in the last sort of 3 months is that the club is still alive.
Yeah,
very much alive and very much in pushing in the right direction. We still might not have hit rock bottom yet.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I don't.
No.
And that's the scary thing. It really is. I don't think we have reached rock bottom. But
you've got I mean, you look at the teams that we've played, and the teams that are scrapping at the bottom, and they're not filling the ground nowhere near. Do you know what I mean? Half full stadiums, not really that interested, not a lot of fight. At least what's been going through the door is a lot of fight and a lot of effort. Effort from you guys, effort behind the scenes, effort in the contingency. We just need to get these guys out and then start building, and that's just the main thing. And wherever we fall down to, it's got to just. We can only start building when we clear the deck. I mean, clear the decks of everything, ground from the bottom up. They should have ripped the ground to bits today. I'd have thought they should have dug the pitch up. They should have smashed the place up, and then it would have cost him money to get the pitch relayed for the last game of the season. Just smashed him in the pocket. You know, it just. I haven't given him any money. I've given him no money at all. And
where do you two stand on that? Are you? What are your plans for next season? Are you going to go? Are you going to get season tickets? Are you not going to pay another penny, or what?
What
are you doing? Go on, Alison. What are you? Because you've been a bit longer, Alison.
I'm going to go, but I'm not buying a season ticket next season because I'm not putting money in his pocket. And I feel the same as Andy. I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that we were getting relegated and mentally prepared myself. And I felt the same. It was the shock factor at Northampton, and I cried all the way home from that match. Couldn't believe that we were relegated to League Two. So I think that probably prepared me for today. even though I didn't know it
Mm.
at the time. And I am devastated and heartbroken, but I had mentally prepared myself knowing this was going to happen inevitably because of where we are with everything that's off the field. But I'm not getting a season ticket next season. I'm going to go, but I'm not giving him money up front without a shadow of a doubt. And the only thing that really, really worries me is that we all know they need to leave, and we all know they are the sole reason why we're where we are. But how do we get them out? How do you ever force anyone to sell a club? You know,
Well-
even if we find people who want to buy it, unless they've done something fraudulent or illegal or whatever, even though none of us understand why he'd want to stay, and we don't, how do we get him to sell?
Yeah, no, it's a good point, and that's where we've got the SFA, we've got other supporters trusts that have been through similar things. Blackpool have been amazing with us, and there'll be people from Blackpool's trust at the fans forum, and they're gonna tell us a bit about, you know, what we same with Leyton Orient. You know, what do we do? We have a lot of questions, and you know, from the podcast we've talked to a lot of these trusts, and we've built up a lot of relationships, and people have been helping us out. And we're going to need that support, and we'll have to figure it out. We're going to have to figure it out, and we're going to have to keep the pressure on. And how we do that is something that we're going to have to decide as a collective, and we're going to have to commit to it. I think that's going to be really important. Aaron, I'll just give you a chance to mention a point on that, and then I'm just going to have to let you go because I've got loads of people waiting in the queue to come in, mate.
No worries, mate.
So what's your view on that?
So I didn't buy a season ticket this year, and I won't be buying one next year. I'll probably go to home games just on the basis of, like, it's something that me and my dad have done ever since I was like 5. I think the first Latics game I went to, and I enjoy like spending time with my dad, and it's our thing to do, you know. So like, I'll go to games, but I'm not buying a season ticket. I didn't do this year. I will do next year.
Everyone's in a catch-22.
Yeah.
They're all, like, I want to take my lad is a massive Latics fan, and it kind of tailed off a little bit, and then we went to Scunthorpe, and he's 10, and he is mad. He's Latics mad, and I want to take him to games, but it's just not viable. He would go tomorrow. He'd go to every game if he could. Loves it, absolutely loves it. The club has a pull, and I don't know what it is. I'm not from. My dad was from Chadderton, but we're not. He's got no affinity to Latics, but through just me, and he is besotted by it. Loves it, absolutely loves it, and I just can't feel like I can take him. It's gutting because I'm missing it. My dad used to. We were a RAF family, so we used to travel up, and we used to go as often as we could. And I want to do that. And my other youngest lad, I want to do that with him, and I just feel like I can't. Not yet.
Aaron, thanks for joining us, mate. I'm gonna bring
mate.
Joe in now. He's been very, very patient, and he looks like he's got a decent stream on him now. But on that point, Elliot, I was at Hey Joe. You all right, mate?
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah.
Is that me? Is this me?
Yeah, this is you.
Yeah, you all right, Matt?
How are you doing? I met you at the ground a couple of weeks ago, didn't I?
Sutton game it was, I believe.
Sutton game, yeah. Listen, do me a favour, just try knocking the video off so it's just your audio, because that might be better. The stream there, you've not got a great connection wherever you are.
What's up?
Just knock your video off so it's just the audio.
I'm just outside. I'm at the pub at the moment.
At the pub?
I'm on my phone. I don't know if it's any good.
No, it's not a great connection, mate. Not a great connection, but what just tell us the point that you want to make, mate. How are you feeling? It's not happening, is it? We'll take him out. We'll bring Nathan in. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's quite quiet, but I can hear you.
Okay. I'll just try and change it, see if that changes anything. Is that better?
No, can you hear him all right there, Alison? Andy,
No.
is he very,
No.
no, very quiet, mate. Sounds like you're down a well or something, a long way away.
Oh, I am here. I am here. Is that improved?
There you go.
or-
That's better, mate. That's
Is that
better.
better? Yeah.
Yeah, how are you feeling, Nathan?
Yeah, just similar to what some of the others said before. Not as bad as Northampton. I weren't at Northampton, but I was still obviously there. For some reason, it's not as bad as Northampton. Maybe because I'm a bit older and stuff was prioritised. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. I don't know if that's it or I'm just getting used to it. But yeah, it's just a case of going into following the Forest Green game, I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't think it would be today. But just like that, it was a case of the worst scenario came together. All the results went against us. We didn't do our bit, and then it just went. But I sort of knew. I was speaking to a few people. I was like, even when we scored, I was happy, but I knew that it was sort of that goal meant it was going to happen on Tuesday or Saturday rather than today. So I sort of understood that. But yeah, it's just sort of been feeling it for a while. I sort of thinking under Shez, we're going to do it, especially after like Stevenage and stuff went on the slump. But yeah, the 2 games before today, I sort of then after that it was like, yeah, I think we've gone here, and I think by a miracle, obviously, we weren't going to get anything, and obviously now, yeah, it's happened.
I think what Andy was saying before about taking kids, and what Aaron was saying as well about going with his dad. That's why we go. We don't go to watch Latics being brilliant because they've been crap for years. It's not about that. It's about the connections. It's about this community element of it. And like I've been in Ireland for 10 years. I've just come back. I can now go to the football. I've made loads of friends through doing the podcast. Like the Latics is like a massive part of my life. I've got 2 young nephews that go with us now, and they love it. And they love it because it's one of the things that they do with me. I don't get time to do that much stuff with them. And, me, my brother and the boys go and we meet my mates there and everything. And it's, how do we get these guys out whilst maintaining those young people and their enthusiasm? Because it's such a hard thing to say, sorry, but you can't go now for a reason that you can't understand because you're 6.
Yeah.
How do we manage that at this stage at time? Because we've gone back in our numbers to support Shez, but now none of us want to go to support these 2. But at the same time, we do want to go because we want to take our kids and our nephews and meet our friends and do the special things that we do with our family. I've talked about a lot on the podcast about making sacrifices, and it's going to be really, really difficult to figure out how we're going to do this next season. Has anyone got any thoughts on that?
I think
go on. Sorry, carry on. You go.
No, it's all right. You go.
No, I mean, I'm in a luckier. I'll say I'm in a luckier situation because if I was local, it'd be hard not to go every week. So I'm not driving 2 and a bit hours to come to a game, and it kind of gets me out the cart really. But people who are local, it's the best thing is taking your kids to the football and enjoying a day at the football. It doesn't beat it. The results, they blend into insignificance really. I last took my eldest lad
until you get relegated out of the football.
Yeah, well, there's that. But I took my lad's first home. My last home game we went to was when they switched the electric off in the north stand. And we travelled in, and it, excuse my French, it pissed it down all the way, and they turned the electric off, and we were just sat in dark. It was in darkness for night, and I was like, I can't bring him to this. It was crew at home, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, just before lockdown. I mean, Jesus wept. But yeah. It's a with Oldham. You don't go to Oldham you don't support Oldham for trophies or glory or whatever. It's kind of, when we travel up, it feels like home. And I've never lived in Oldham. It feels like home, and my son gets that, understands it and shares it, and it's just really difficult. It's quite gut wrenching, really. Don't tell him that, but I do. It is.
The thing is, what bothers me about this is Oldham being in the National League is not what bothers me so much. I'm not going to stop supporting Oldham ever, and when your team's at its lowest ebb, you want to support it the most because that's when it needs you the most. So I would love to see Boundary Park. I'd love to have the highest attendances in the National League next season. I'd love to have the highest away following, the largest away following. I'd love that. But that's not the issue. The issue is that we need to get rid of these two. And how do we do that whilst if we're all going and we're feeding them money and we're giving them more reasons to hold on? It's such a dilemma. And that's the real issue. It's not about us being in the National League. I don't care. I'll go anywhere. But we've got to get rid of these two. And they need to do the decent thing. That's what they need. And if there's anyone listening that actually still endorses and supports Abdallah, then I'd love them to get in touch, or has got a different opinion to the people that are calling in, because I would love to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Sorry, that's Julie just chipping in. She's saying, "Yeah, get them on here and explain how they can have."
Yeah, it's taken a long time, hasn't it? It's taken a long time for some people to see the light or to change the way of thinking or whatever. But it's undisputable now, isn't it? Look at what's happened. It's just there's no hiding place.
I think I've sort of justified it in my head that I'm not getting a season ticket, so they're not getting the money up front, and then I'll just see how I feel at the time. And I guess it feels really bad to say it, but if you get a better offer, so if we can go to the Caravan or somewhere else, then that sort of in my head gives me a reason not to go. Do you know what I mean? But there'll still be a massive pull to go, no matter, like you said, whether in the National League or whatever league we're in, because we support the club. I've watched non-league football loads of times in previous years, as well as Lassix, and it's just, it don't matter what league we're in. We just support the club, don't we? Support the team.
Nathan, what are you going to do? Sorry, Andy, come back to
carry
you.
on.
And Nathan, what are you going to do next season?
Well, I don't know. I sort of have it in my head. Obviously, there's a statement from him saying he's going to sell the club, and I sort of know that's sort of a little bit, at least the very least, seems to me be a half lie. But then the sort of gut of me is sort of saying, "Oh, something will happen. We'll get a new owner," even though I know that isn't how it's going to happen. If we get new owner, obviously going to get a season ticket, hopefully, or at the very least try and be around. Obviously, if not, and again, I think it's the same as what some other people said. It'd be a case of seeing sort of what the situation is, and sort of going, well, maybe if they leave in October or something, then. But I'm not really expecting that in my head. But my gut is sort of saying, oh, it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I'm sort of in that sort of two things, because you'd expect. This is like a trust you have with them, is that they've said something, an official statement, not off the cuff comment at a fans forum, an official statement. We want to sell the club. We're going to sell the club, and we don't believe them. And that sort of says what the thing is with them. And that's sort of at least how I think it is. I'd love to go, but I ideally, this is how I think. Ideally, how sort of it goes. Okay, we're in the league room. It's going to be very, very hard, even a well-run club, to get back up. The stats show, I think Cheltenham, I think it was like Cheltenham, maybe Bristol Rovers went straight back up. It's very rare. I looked at some numbers last year.
Yeah,
it's very rare. Yeah. It's not even like it's 50-50. I think it's something like 10 or 15% in the last 10 years or something. Something like that. Is an owner comes in, consortium, whether it's this Darren Royal and obviously Joe Royal's son, and brings in a consortium, whether it's a local firm, whoever, come in, there's a big boost, and all of us go down in the summer, right, and start cleaning the ground, getting all the muck off all the seats, cleaning it up, painting it, people donate stuff, and the sort of thing is, we haven't got loads of money, but we're all going to stick in, the goal, get promoted. Same with the players, some of the players who sign, they all muck in and start doing all stuff. This sounds mad, but this is the type of thing we want. Is, can you imagine if that happened with Abdallah now? if he kind of said, right, we're going to go and clean the Boxdale Road and there's loads of muck everywhere, 2 people would show up because there's not that mentality there. So I want the mentality to be there. The kids can come down, everyone can come down, and that sort of thing. Something's happening here. And then obviously there's a good team, good manager, and that something good might happen. But all I want is sort of a good season. I'm not even saying to win anything. I'm not bothered what league that's in because, and I'll just say my final point before you pass on to the people. There's always thing about 21 years in League One, we never win anything, never had anything good. The last time we finished in the top half was like 2009, I think it was, 2010 or whatever, and not really had anything good apart a few FA Cup runs and half seasons. So for young fans, they've not had anything to get them in. For me, it was that half season, the 14-15 season under Lee Johnson that got me in and started going more, and then eventually further down the line, season tickets and going to away games. Speaking to other mates of other clubs, the thing that they always say is the thing that got into them is the season that they won the League Two title, League One title. So for people in Oldham, what does a 16-year-old, 17-year-old have? Nothing. Every club really needs a good season every 10 years to win the league or get promoted. And that's the thing they say, 10 years ago, that's what got me into it. We haven't had that. So that there's one good thing that may come of it is that maybe not next season, but we have a really, really good season in the National League. At some point, I don't expect it to happen next season. And it's that kicks something off. Just like Tranmere, they had their bad times in League Two. They then went back up to League One, back down to League Two, obviously. But they had something that kick-started something. But the key thing is new ownership.
Yeah, it's not going to happen under these two. There's no way. Not just these, but whoever they bring in, their advisors, the people that they've had running the club and involved in the club. I put this up from Samantha in terms of what we were just talking. It doesn't matter what league we're in, about the community values and the attitudes that we grew up with. Current OFC don't have those values, and we can't continue to become hypocrites. Everything needs to change. And then another thing here, I will clean and paint the ground, but not for Abdallah, based on the things that we were just saying there. There is a will. The community want to do stuff for the club, but they're not going to do it for him. And he's reaping what he's sown. He treats us like this, or they treat us like this. I can't believe that Mohamed Lemzigam has gone through another season as the sporting director, got through 3 managers, and he hasn't come out and spoke to the public once. He has not said anything to the press once. Keith Curle was the scapegoat. He had to stand in front of the camera and speak while all this was going on. Then Salim, then John Sheridan. Not one director of the football club has come forward and said anything publicly, apart from when Adam Morley went on TalkSport and accused us all of killing the club, and Abdallah came on and basically did the same thing, and then proved that he didn't actually know what was going on when Brad and Binman and Don were banned. And he's taking a call. He's like, they deserve to be banned. But he didn't even know why they'd been banned. It was it's just embarrassing. It's just a farce. And I keep going on about Exeter City having like £250,000 worth of volunteer time donated to them by their trust members every season. We could have that. We could have more than that because we've got a bigger fan base in Exeter. We could, people would come to Boundary Park and, like you say, scrub the seats and pull up the weeds and do this and do that and volunteer. And it's only going to happen when we take it back and it's ours again. And as long as it's theirs, they're not going to get that. They're just going to get the opposition. And we need to channel that energy and that anger into getting rid of them. And I honestly don't know what the answer to that is just yet. But we'll have the fans forum. We'll talk about our options. We'll talk about all the groups that are involved, and we are talking to everybody. People mention Darren Royal. I've spoken to Darren Royal. He goes to the Latics. I see him there. I've seen him in the North Stand. He goes and watches the games. He's a fan of the club. There's the FLG, there's the OASF, there's PTB. We all have different roles. I've seen a lot today with people saying, like, why don't you all just become one group? Because that's not what it's about. Like, the trust or the foundation has certain roles and responsibilities. PTB don't have those, so they can be independent and do different things. It's important that we have different priorities and different roles, but we are able to work together, where in the past we've not been able to have that. The FLG, we know that there's been stuff going on with them. We've been in touch with them. We've had to try and deal with a lot of historical issues that need to be sorted out. We're doing it. We're working on it, but it's hard, first of all, and it's about building trust, and that's what we've done. We've been building trust, and we've been getting together and sort of saying, right, well, the most important thing, and this is what Abdallah's failed to do, is acknowledge where you're at. Where are we? What's the realism? What's the situation? Not what's the ideal, but what's going on and how do we deal with it? Not what's going on in Abdallah's head, which is completely fanciful. But he doesn't look himself in the mirror and say, right, let's be honest with ourselves here. Let's be honest with myself. What's the issue? He doesn't deal with those issues. What we're trying to do is deal with the actual issues. And it's only by doing that that we'll get to the point that we need to be. But issue number one is ensuring A, that they go, and B, that there's a viable alternative to come in. So
yeah,
I
feel like we have to think differently as well.
Completely.
The new guys that come in, I've watched Lincoln go down to the National League, not in a similar situation to us but they have changed their ethos, their thinking. It is all about the community, kids, families, music, like buzz, electric atmospheres, bringing people in, people through the doors. It's all designed to bring. There's a big community out there. You just need to bring it all together, and we have to be really forward thinking and real sort of progressive, and give people sort of value for money, not just on the field, but what's around it. Go to Oldham and it's all very, very cold. It's falling down. It's bits. It's rotten to the core, but it has to wake up, and it has to
I think
start growing again.
The Atleticos, though, look at the passion that those young people have, and then they've built up that little group from it's a tiny little group. And I look down, I stand right behind them, and Ryan, who bangs the drum, doesn't look at the game. He's either got eyes in the back of his head or he watches it all on replay because he mustn't have a clue how we play because he don't pay any attention. He looks at the crowd, he gets them going, he bangs the drum. And the flags and the colour and the bouncing and all that kind of stuff. While we've been down at the bottom of the league, it's just been fantastic. This club has got the best fans in football because we had the least successful football club in the last 30 years. And then look what we're still able to achieve. So I'm proud of us. I think we're fantastic. And we deserve people at the club who respect us. And Abdallah, Mohammed, Adam Morley, Barry Owen, people like that have continually disrespected us. And they're all part of the problem. And anyone who associates with them are part of the problem, and they need to get gone. I've had enough of them. It's no secret. I'm going to bring Michael in here now because he's been waiting there. Hello, Michael. Can you hear us? Hello? I think your mic's on mute, Michael. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Never mind.
Oh.
But look, has anyone got any thoughts on? I think what you were saying, Andy, about the experience, the matchday experience, and it's not there. It's far from there, but there are signs of optimism when it comes to the fans. I think.
I think it's go on, carry on.
It has been there though before, Andy. Everything that you said, that used to be what Lassix was like years ago. When my daughter was little, I took her to Junior Blues and little meetings before the game underneath in the bar area, and and then do you remember when they used to have that crossbar challenge at half time and they got fans on the pitch and they had that big tyre that you used to have to kick the ball through, and so I think it has been there. It's definitely been there in the past, just died, totally died. I mean, again, today, I don't know what it was like where you guys were, but the toilets didn't flush, no water again for the second week running. I mean, that's just disgusting. Health and safety, basic hygiene, it's just not there. Nothing's there.
No.
At all.
No. Well, there's just no... there's no love going into it, is there? There's no love and pride going into the whole thing. I mean, I went into the Roger Palmer bar today. Dave, who do the phone-in with, his dad's been a sponsor of the club for a long time, and it was
Sean,
we went in there, and the extent of the hospitality for the sponsor were a box of butties, pork pies, sausage rolls, just chucked on the table, and that were it. Like, it were, and it were rank. The food were rank. I had a pork pie. It was awful. there was no officials in there, like welcoming, greeting. There was no, it was just bobbins. It were proper bobbins. It wasn't even non-league bobbins. It were amateur hour. And it was just, that's why I went in. I went in just to see what it were like. And it was just awful. And there's just no pride. And there's just no staff. And that's what a club like Latics could be thriving on volunteers on a match day to make things happen. But while these guys are in, no one's going to do it, are they?
You've got one stumbling block, haven't you?
Yeah.
They're the brick wall.
Something I just want to ask, and I'm sure someone's asked this before in just a general past, 5 years now or whatever, is do we even know why he bought the club? Because for me, they're obviously, I look at other clubs and I can see why they bought it. So I can see why the lads at Man City and now Newcastle and Chelsea, they bought it because they got loads of money, they want a bit of a toy, they want a bit of fun, they want to build a big stadium, build loads of stuff and have a bit of fun, right? Fair enough. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of things around them, but I can see, okay, that's their reason. Then I can see like at Brentford, it's like all these data analytics guys who want to use their skill to take a club forward. Fair enough. Man United, it was make money. But I can't see what the reason is with Abdallah, because it's like, okay, he didn't own anything, didn't own the ground, so you can't. Maybe he could make money if he owned everything and could do all the stuff with the North Stand. He's not able to do that. Is it a project where he's going to chuck loads of money at it? Well, there was that Queen's Menigi was on 10 grand a week. So you mean, maybe that's a bit of that, but then we've not really seen any money. So it's not really a case of, I'm going to put loads of money into the club and get into a championship. He said that, but it doesn't seem to be a case of he's got some secret massive war chest. Okay. So then there was this other suggestion. I think Keith Curl mentioned it in that interview, and it's been suggested in the past that his thing was he's going to run the club by using his contacts to bring these players over and then train them up and bring them up to a standard and then sell them on. Do we even know what his reason is? Because we talk about wanting to get him out. Well, whatever his reason for being there is going to be key to getting out. So if it's financial, obviously the boycotting, which obviously has obviously been a thing. If it's a case of it's fun, then you've got to make it not fun for him. Do you know what I mean? Whatever the reason is, we've got to understand that. And the problem is, unless you lot know something I don't, I don't claim to. I can't say I read every single. I'm not looking in every single corner for information. You know what I mean? Speaking to everyone. Do we even know why he's bought it? I mean, I'm opening that question up to any of you three if there's anything, because once we know that, then we can know what to do in terms of trying to obviously move the club on.
I don't know if you listen to the podcast, Nathan, but that's been Andy's recurring question over and over again. What is his motive? Why has he bought the football club? Obviously, we think that it was more who they wanted more to run it and to do it, but he failed the director's fit and proper persons test. Like you said, they thought that they could bring in players from abroad, from this network that they've got, and turn them into valuable assets. It wasn't a business plan. It was an idea. A business plan has to cover all the bases of the business. It has to understand where the business is losing money, where it's making money, what the opportunities are, what the strengths are, and all that. The old SWOT analysis and stuff. And they've not done it. They have not done a proper assessment. That their due diligence was piss weak, and they've made a balls of it, and they never ever made a proper business plan. They said in September last year, that's nearly, it feels like that's almost a year ago now, virtually, September. It's, they came out and said they're going to do give us a 3-year plan. Well, they still should have done that. Even if he was planning on leaving, he should know that the club could take a while to sell because of everything. And by the end of October, you'll have a 3-year plan. So we never got that. What is his motive? It really is. That's a very, very good question, because it can't be fun for him. He can't be enjoying this. Mo can't be enjoying it.
What they set out to do, they haven't achieved. So why do they want to stay? They've been here 4 years and not achieved anything. I
genuinely think they feel like victims, Alison. I think they feel hard done to. I think they feel like victims. They feel hard done to. I think they feels like, oh, well, we came in, we did our best. Like, we tried. If you came in and you did your best, then fair enough. But your best is far short of good enough. And you should be grown up enough to acknowledge that.
But all they've done now is let us get relegated to non-league, where the club or the badge or whatever they own is going to be worth so much less. None of it makes any financial sense, common sense, nothing, does it?
No.
I just cannot get inside their heads to understand where they come from at all from a financial
zero.
sense.
Yeah, there's zero logic as to why they
Yeah,
dropped off where they
exactly.
did.
Exactly.
None of it.
Emotionally, logically, anything. It doesn't. None of it adds up.
No, it doesn't. And like Ian said here, they're hoping someone is going to give them 6 million. I can give them 6 million reasons why they should leave, but I'm not going to give them £6 million for a club that is running insolvent, that owes millions. It owes millions and owns nothing. So they're absolutely nuts. Martin, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. How are yourself?
All right, mate.
Considering, I mean, I'd accepted it, hadn't I? So, you know,
it's the best way. I had as well, because it's easier to be happy and elated at not going down than it is to be thinking, oh, we're going to stay up, and then feel the disappointment of it. So I think it was the best way was to just accept it early on and roll with it.
It is, yeah. I mean, today, don't get me wrong, it's incredibly disappointing. Just the way that we've gone down. To be honest, you know, I thought that there would be a bit more fight left in us. Part of me thought that we might take it until at least until Tuesday night. But obviously it's not meant to be, is it? So yeah, we've just got to deal with it now, Matt, haven't we? We've got to crack on, and like I said before, you know, the clubs we're down, but we're not out. That's the point, isn't it? We're down, but we're not out.
Yeah, exactly. The club's not dead; it's still alive. It's just a National League team now, and we have to respond accordingly, don't we? It's not like Bury, who all of a sudden didn't have a club anymore. We're not at that point yet, and we need to make sure that we're not at that point. You know, it's been no secret that I've been very frustrated that we are not ready for this situation now. Over the years, we should have been prepared and ready. And I'm not going to point any things at any individual. We all have to take responsibility for that as fans. You know, it's not on any one person to run the trust or to do whatever. We're collective. We're stronger together, and we're weaker when we don't respond. So I think now finally we've got to a point where we realise that. And I know you made a fairly hefty donation to the fund today, didn't you? Because like money is ultimately what's going to make or break this club, isn't it?
Well, that's it. I think it's really important now for people to realise that this is make or break. You know, for me today, you know, it was kind of a line drawn in the sand that we need to move on, and we need to make sure that Oldham Athletic is part of my two boys' future. That's what I was thinking of. You know, I've got two lads, 7 and 3. Oldham Athletic has been a hugely significant part of my life, as I've told you before, for 30 years, and I want to make sure that it's part of their lives for the next 30 years plus. Do you know what I mean? And that was the point. So today, yeah, like you said, I've made a pledge to Oldham Athletic Supporters Foundation. You know, I think it's important that people give whatever they can afford, and that we club together and kind of make sure that this club has some future, which I do firmly believe it has. Today's obviously a really, really dark day for the club. You know, like you think back to September last year when we were all crowded out outside Boundary Park and we were chanting Abdullah out and all the rest of it. I still firmly believed at that given point that there would have been a turning point during the course of the season, that we would have been all right. I would have snapped your hand off for 20 seconds there, you know, in September. But it's just not proven to be the case. You know, there's no quality within that squad, and now we've got to come to the realization that that this is it. We're a National League club as of tonight. But like I said before, we're down, but we're not out. That's the point. And people have got to rally together and put in whatever they can afford, put it towards the foundation, and make sure that we're all clubbing together to put some money on the table and convince people that we can invest in this club.
Definitely. If you can't afford money, put time in.
That's it.
Organize. Like, you know, you were saying about how important a part of your life it is. The same for me. It gives me things to talk about with so many people. I've made some of the best friends of my life through the football. You know, we're going to have to. I mean, you could even do anything, organize something that raises money. You don't have to put the money up yourself. Organize something where you get a number of people together and you put on a karaoke night, or you do a barbecue, or like whatever it is. Like, just make an effort to pull some money together consistently over the summer. This is gonna have to be our thing over the summer. I mean, I'm delighted that it's that we know that our fate now. I can't wait for the season to be over. I just can't wait to not have to put a podcast out every morning, but only put them out as and when there's something to talk about. Take a bit of a break, because this season's been exhausting. But unfortunately, from like the foundation's point of view, you know, we've got an AGM coming up at the end of the summer, so we're going to have to plan for that. We've got a lot of work to do for the off-field stuff, and we're going to have to keep digging in, and we're going to have to keep working hard. But at least we don't have to worry about the football at the weekend and go into the games and comment on it and all that. I'm glad it's over now. At least we know where we're at, and we can start planning accordingly, can't we? And like I said before, the real sort of like issue in terms of our mindset is wanting to show off our club as the best supported in the National League and getting Abdallah out. It's a real conflict of, it's going to take some serious sacrifices. And that's why I'm looking forward to the fans forum and really getting people's feelings, and let's go with what the majority of people want to do, because if we do that, we'll be much stronger together, won't we? And I think there's no point a small group of people trying to tell a large group of people what to do. It has to be a consensus if we're going to achieve anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, like I just think tonight it's like anybody else. There are so many emotions going through my head. You know, obviously you hark back to the years that we've had within the Football League, and it's been an emotional roller coaster over the last 30 years. But we have got to come to a realization now that we are where we are, and if there is going to be a future for this football club, which I'm absolutely determined that there is going to be, then obviously we've got to rally together. You know, we've got to come together and prove our worth. I mean, tonight I've contacted two of our ex-Premier League footballers who were on my Facebook, just out of sheer desperation, to be honest, that you know, obviously Oldham Athletic is hurting. You know, this evening we are very much hurting as a fan base, as a football club. And I think, you know, hopefully those players that represented us in 92 to 94 will resonate with that and kind of come together and help us to raise the funds that we need to for the future of our football club. It's as stark as that, isn't it? This evening.
Do you find it frustrating that a lot of ex-players and people who've been associated with the club distance themselves from that angle? Because I think a lot of them do. They kind of like, you know, they don't want to have like talk bad about Oldham Athletic, where for me, you're not talking bad about Oldham Athletic. You're talking bad about the individuals that run it. And I'd like to see more of them coming out and saying, you are killing this club that I used to play for, that I used to represent, and actually putting pressure on them. I'd like to see more of that.
For me, like, they should be they're two separate entities, aren't they? The Oldham Athletic of 92 to 94 is a very different, starkly different prospect to the Oldham Athletic now of 2022. So if you're talking about the two clubs, they're just entirely different. And yeah, it does frustrate me. I'll be honest, Matt, it does frustrate me because I think they should be more openly critical of the ownership of the football club. We've been saying for a long time that Abdullah's leadership of the club has taken us in the wrong direction. January 2018, when it arrived, same with anybody else, I was really optimistic about the future. We'd had 20 years or whatever it was within League One. We weren't going anywhere. We were stagnant, really. And then he came in with false promises, as they've been proven to be now. And I just think tonight, like I said, like I said to you on Thursday, I'm still angry. I am still angry. That's the point. Lots of Oldham Athletic fans will be still angry with Abdullah, and I can understand that. I can empathise with that completely. But tomorrow's a new day, and we need to make sure that there is a future for this football club. We really do. I was a strike it lucky seller for 10 years. The club's a huge part of my life. It really is.
It's on us though, Martin, isn't it? It's on us.
Yeah, it is completely.
Were you going to say something, Nathan?
Martin, get any response from the ex-professional footballers?
I've only contacted them within the last hour. So I mean, to be honest, when I've spoken to them before about Abdullah's ownership over Facebook, and they have been really responsive. So I would expect that I'll probably get a response either tonight or tomorrow. They'll be digesting the information, same as us, won't they? They'll be digesting the news that Oldham Athletic is now a non-league football club.
Just got just a comment here now. Breaking news from Morgan.
It's accurate.
Thanks, Morgan. Breaking news. Just to let you all know, we've sold 90% of our 150 tickets for the fans forum. We took a bit of stick. Some people were saying, like, "Why are you charging for?" And it was like, it should be free. What? I get that, but what the thinking was, if we put them out for free, everyone's just going to go, "Oh, I'll have one of them. Get them quickly." They'll all go. And then some people will be like, "Oh, I'm not going now. I can't be asked." So put a value on it. And also, like, we've raised the best part of 700 quid so far for the fund, and we need the money. We can't afford to wait. We need the money. So hopefully, we've been promised. Chris, not all, has promised his company will match whatever. So straight away, that's up to 1,400. Like, to be taken seriously as a fan base, it's all very well us talking the talk. We've got to walk the walk. We've got to put our money where our mouth is, or our time and energy. This is what gets so annoyed about with keyboard warriors that are waiting for something to come out so they can jump on it and criticize it while sitting on their asses at home doing nothing about it. Like, there's nothing stopping anybody else with a different opinion or a different view from getting out there and doing something. Nothing stopping you. I'm not stopping you. Alison, Andy, Nathan, and Martin aren't stopping you. You can just get out and do it. If you think that my podcast is talking shite every week, start your own podcast, which has got the opposite view. If you think that OASF and PTB misrepresent the fans, start your own fan group and challenge it. But you won't. And when I confront these people that give it me on Facebook, and I go up to them, 99.9% of them bottle it and won't say boo to a goose. And it's too easy to sit behind your keyboard and just. We don't need that. We need doers. We need people who are going to get off their ass and do something and are going to speak up. And it's no more my club than it is your club or anybody else's. It's our football club. I don't like the phrase, it's my club. It's not your club. It's our club. It doesn't belong to any particular one of us. It's ours. And we're a collective thing. And, like, for me tonight, this has helped. This has helped. Like, this is why I did it, because I was, like Aaron was saying earlier on, like, as the minutes passed after the game, it started to sink in and it started to hurt more and more. And the more I sort of sat with myself, I was like, oh God. So, like, we are able to help each other by coming together and talking like this. That's the power of community. That's the power of that's the power of football, because none of us might ever meet each other or talk to each other. We can have massively different views about massively different things. We don't have to talk about any of that. We can just talk about Latics, and it brings us together.
Yeah,
And
we all love the same thing.
exactly. And regardless of other things that we might fall out about, it don't matter. It brings us together. And then we develop friendships through it. And it's really, really important. And those people who want to try and divide us and want to use football and use the internal politics to pitch people against each other, just block them and ignore them. That's my advice. Because they're a waste of time. They'll pollute your head. It's toxic. You don't need it. So, I mean, I get it from all angles. Genuinely couldn't give a shit. I'll block them and I'll move on, and I'll talk to people like you who are a pleasure to talk to, and I think that's really important.
The thing is, you get it from all angles, Matt, because you've dared to put your head above the parapet. That's all it is. That's all it is.
I've got a tin hat on. I'm all right.
Yeah, exactly. And now, particularly this evening, now is the time for us all to come together and make sure that we've got unity amongst the fans. You know, there's no point having different fans groups and different ways of thinking and all the rest of it. That all of us want to ensure that Oldham Athletic has a future, and a bright and a really bright future as a football league club. I want my two lads to see football league. I want to take them down to Sheepfoot Lane and make sure that they understand that we're playing in the fourth division today, third division, whatever, but we're a football league club. It's ever so important. It's ever so important. This is
part and parcel of the game. I was flicking through Mike Keegan's book this morning, and one of the pages at the beginning where they were talking about Leeds getting relegated in 1982 to the second division. You know, they're all conquering Leeds, who were one of the giants of English football through the 70s. That's what football's all about. Like, you do not have a divine right. That's what pisses me off so much about the top six in the English game, trying to stay at the top six in the English game. You've got no right. That's not what it's all about. You should be going from being Leeds, being the champions, to being relegated. It should be able to happen. So us getting relegated is not, and us being in this mindset now is not that we feel that we deserve to be in the Football League any more than anybody else does. It's just that it's been so avoidable, and that's the problem. It shouldn't have happened. There was no need for it to happen. And we can go back even further, and we can say, Blitz walking away in 2010, handing the club over to Corney, all the stuff that's gone on beforehand. Corney selling to Abdallah was obviously a huge issue. Corney saying, I'll only sell the club to somebody who has the best interests of the club at heart. Only sell to the right person. That turned out to be nonsense. Where is Simon Corney? Why is he not responding to the court litigation that's been put to him? There are other people in the history of this football club with blood on their hands. Like, there is. We know that about that. But in the here and now, the biggest danger and the biggest threat to this football club are the people who currently own it. And yes, we have a lot of other issues to straighten out, but regardless of what we think about Corney and all the rest of it, and we could have got relegated under Corney, but we were saved by the skin of our teeth. We had 21 years in League One. 4 years we've gone from League One to the National League. I mean, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? This is why we are relegated today, because of the current owners.
I think my mates and I were having this discussion earlier yesterday. And Ryan Hamer, you might have come across on Twitter before, said that if we were under Corney, he firmly believes that we probably would have been a League Two club, but we probably would have been easily mid-table League Two club. Maybe even challenging the playoffs. Maybe. I think it's hard to say, isn't it? I think that the decline has been so fast under Abdullah. It's just, I think it's blown us all away in terms of how fast it's actually been. None of us envisaged that we would be, 4 years ago. All right, Northampton, we went down without a fight again, didn't we? The 2-2. We weren't pressing forward. We needed a goal.
Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And all of us were frustrated that day because we knew we need a goal. Why haven't we got people forward? And then obviously we went down, and we envisaged that all right, we might not be, challenging for promotion instantly, but at least have a go, at least have a bit of fight on the pitch.
But isn't it crazy what they've done though, Martin? Do you think when you think about when we came down, right? Frank Bunn was in charge. We were actually in and around the playoffs. They started off like, well, it's not such a bad start, and the fans turned up, and there was decent crowds in Boundary Park, and then straight away, because people find them so hard to work with, it all fell apart.
Well,
we had Sam Surridge and Callum Lang up front.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ!
Recruited these
it's a world
players,
away now,
that
isn't
kind
it?
of caliber of player, didn't it? But because what happened at Carlisle, they used that as an excuse, didn't they? Getting beat 6-0. It wasn't really the real reason, was it? But
I was at the game. I was at the 6-0.
That's your neck at woods, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I was there with the father-in-law, and it was the first time he'd seen Latics in a long while. And he said to me, what's going on here? Like, they're just the shambles at the back and all the rest of it. And I said, well, all right, it's a 6-0, but we've been all right under Frankie. I didn't really see him going after that game, to be honest. And then obviously he got the bullet. And you think, didn't Abdullah come out with some ridiculous remark that you can't get beaten 6-0 and expect to keep your job?
Yeah.
Which I think it just encapsulates.
Well, Andy Rhodes had been sacked not long before, hadn't he? And all that. There was stuff going on. There's a question here from Andrea. What happens about the embargo now? As far as I'm aware, the embargo doesn't carry on into next season, as far as I'm aware. But
would it return in any under hypothetical return to the EFL? So if it took 5 years, then we came back. I imagine if we came back, we'd have the funds obviously to come back and new owners and stuff, so we'll be able to pay it off. But maybe that's something to ask to someone who knows a bit more about law and legal stuff. But
who's got the striking child?
I was going to say, I'm sorry, folks.
It's all right. I'll just stick you on mute. Oh, do you have to go? Did you say?
Well, I'm going to have to see.
I'll stick you on mute anyway. I just needed to know who to mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying what you were saying basically there, Nathan, is if we go back up, does it?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah, as well.
Well, hopefully by that stage, it's
all paid off. Yeah.
But who's going to pay it? That's another question, isn't it? Because Abdallah's not particularly willing.
Yeah, for me, I think we have to. There's two things I think you touched on it before as well. Is obviously generating money, whether that be to buy something, just obviously the fund, whether that be purchasing. I don't know. We're being realistic, but obviously whatever it's for, end up going for, could be again safeguarding land, buying the club, part of the club more realistic, obviously. Hopefully getting a bit more than 3%, but having some kind of stake in it as well. But I think there's also trying to make it attractive to any bidders. Now, what would a bidder want? Well, some of it is some kind of financial aspect, as in, again, it sounds bad, but like a business, and also something's a bit controversial in terms of that, because people say, oh, if you want to become, what is it saying? Want to become a millionaire from owning a football club, you buy one as a billionaire or something like that. Do you know what I mean? There's some kind of saying like that. You don't really make money within it. But in terms of, I think realistically, I don't know. I mean, I can only think of is like the Brentford lot, similar to think as well, like Notts County, where you've got somebody who's got the very intense data skills, who's got some kind of other way of running a football club that they bring in, that sort of turbocharges the club above where it quote unquote should be, if you get what I'm saying. Maybe that's it. I mean, I think the thing that has helped, I know some people disagree with it, is obviously returning under Shez, and the support that the attendances have gone up under Shez. That's without a doubt. We know that old ones were, listen, the amount of times I sat there sometimes, and it's like you're looking at the pictures and it's like you can see there's maybe 3,000 people, and they're coming out with this 4,500 people. We know that's rubbish, but just from seeing pictures ourselves, or if we've gone to the games or looked on social media, we can see that people have come back under Shez. So that's attractive to someone, which says if you get the team going well, or at least the belief that the team will go well, people are going to return, because the last thing you want is to have a successful club and then an extra 100 people turn up. I mean, you've got Boreham Wood doing well in the National League, and they struggle to hit 1,000. But obviously they've got their other reasons for running their club. So I think there's definitely a fan base there that would return. I'm sure some of you a lot older than me, you remember the times when it was commonplace to have 6,000 or 7,000 at a game. I don't remember that. Maybe the Peterborough game when we let people in for free. All I've ever known is 4,000, maybe 5,000 people being there. So I do hope, obviously, that, and then obviously on one-off games in the Premier League and stuff, and I'm very jealous, obviously, that other people got to experience that. I think we've got to make ourselves attractive to new buyers. Part of that is obviously the volunteering, because they want to obviously appreciate the fact that you've got somebody who's hard working. So I think that what I said about, and I'm not the first to suggest it, the fact of saying, at Exeter, people who are going to go in and say, you take over the club, we'll come down and clean the stands, clean the seats, sort the pitch out, do whatever needs to happen. Could be volunteering in any aspect, selling golden goal tickets, anything like that, to keep it obviously going, so that more money can go towards the playing budget, and the overall stuff's better. Because as well, you walk into a stand and it's all the paint's gone and it feels a lot more dull. But if it brightens it up, you can get some nice stuff going on. I think that's what needs to happen, is make it more attractive to buyers, and also finding buyers. I mean,
well, the club, Nathan, should be trying to do that. The club should be trying to do that
job, obviously,
to make to it's like you sell a car. You don't leave all your crisp packets and all your shite in it, do you? When you take it to try and sell it, or you get it valeted and you wash it and you present it in its best light. And if I've had Dallas saying, "Yeah, I want £6 million for this," people are going, I mean, you stand in front of the ticket office, look at those steps. I tell you, if I owned that football club, right, and I found myself having a spare hour, I'd get a wire brush and I'd be on those steps and I'd be scraping that rust off it. And I'd be painting it, and I'd be sorting stuff out, and I'd be weeding around the things that needed weeding. I'd be doing stuff, and I'd be getting people involved to do it. And I'd be saying, "This is like, come on, all right, we're not millionaires." It's like in the old days on the terrace streets and all that. Like, people didn't have a pot to piss in, but they were out scrubbing the front doorstep every day and saying, "Right, I'm going to take pride in this house. We don't have much, but we're going to look after it." And people. Abdallah's not there to do it. Mohammed's not there to do it. The people that have been there in the past have been so unpopular that they've not been able to get anybody to help out to do it. I want to do it. I want to use OASF to do it. I want to use better links with the community trust. I've got all this mapped out in my head. I know what I think we should happen. I know what I would like to do. It's not about what I would like to do. It's about what fans would like to do. But the first thing that you do is to consult fans. It's like with the season ticket thing this time round. The club think they know what's best. They didn't consult fans over what the season ticket prices should be, or what's going to bring you back through the door next year, or even come to OASF and say, "I know we've not really been seeing eye to eye. It seems you can't stand us on that, but I know you've done a survey, and we'd like to put an offer out for fans, or at least try." And they just do not want to listen. They just think, right, this is what it's going to be next season. Take it or leave it.
Do we not become more attractive to bidders now? And that sounds bad now. I know we've lost our league status, but people that are circling anyway, do we not become a little bit more attractive? As in, they can test the water for dropping whatever price that he wants it for. He's going to have to drop his prices. Yes. He's going to have to drop his asking prices. So are we not becoming even more attractive or not, do you think?
The thing is that next season, whoever owns Oldham Athletic is going to have to compete against, I mean, let's just say, I don't know who's top at the minute. Is Stockport still top, and Wrexham?
Stockport top, Wrexham.
Some of the wages that are being chucked about in that division are massive, right? These payments from the Premier League and all that kind of stuff is going to stop. So straight away, whoever comes in and to fund the club has to put money in their own pocket or generate revenue from sponsorship, from fans or whatever in order to pay the wage bill. And because they're losing out straight away on those payments. So it's going to cost them an extra £1 million, £2 million a year straight away. So like if we had stayed in the EFL, then that would have been a certain amount of money that was covered. And that, you know, that they don't have to put in themselves. So the National League is even harder to get out of than League Two and League One because there's only two automatic places, only
Matt,
one automatic place.
I know what Andy means is that the value of the club surely must have reduced dramatically by the fact that we're no longer in the Football League.
But the club never really had any value anyway. It's only in Abdallah's head that the club has value.
And that's the other thing that I was going to ask. Did we ever actually, or did you ever actually manage to get anybody in to audit the books? I know you've talked about it a lot on the podcast, and because we want to get an independent valuation. That's never happened, has it?
No, we want to get our trust treasurer in to look at the accounts. They just don't cooperate, do they? They're just not. They're not interested. It's just it's embarrassing.
It's worrying. Then they are a closed book, and it's worrying that when the book does open, is that how deep in this shit we actually are.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a worry.
The problem is you look at it now. Sorry, you look at it now. Now that we've actually entered the National League, like just looking at the National League the other day, it depressed me how southern it actually is.
Oh God, yeah.
So you look at the teams involved, and you think how many of these teams, how many fans are these teams actually going to bring to Boundary Park next season? Looking at it, if Stockport will come up, so obviously we haven't got Stockport to play. Wrexham will be involved in the playoffs. If Halifax win the playoffs, Halifax is actually probably the closest side to us, other than Altrincham. And then outside of Altrincham, you've got bloody Solihull is probably the next closest. Everywhere else is like Wealdstone and Woking and all the rest of it. They're going to bring about 50 fans.
Yeah.
So we've got Grimsby and Scunthorpe, which are literally half an hour from where I live, just across on the East Coast. But yeah, like you say, that's it. It is all down there, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's going to be crap.
Shit.
It's going to be really
Well, that's it. I mean, that might be another nail in the coffin in terms of how far we've fallen when Pete Wild's Halifax turn us over at Boundary Park next season, because
let's remember that when Pete Wild left Latics, he came in twice, and at the end of the season, he sat down with Abdallah, and Abdallah wanted him to stay, but Abdallah and Pete's Wild visions didn't align. I really wish that we'd have gone down the Pete Wild vision route and not the Abdallah vision route.
Yeah,
because we would be in a far better position now than we are. We need more to stay away from the football. I mean, if they're in charge here next season, they're going to have to do some serious rethinking, because Moore could not build a side for League One. He could not build a side for League Two, and he will not be able to build a side for National League. We need somebody. I'm not sure. We've not touched on so far about whether we think Sheridan is the right man to carry on taking us forward. I honestly don't know. Mainly because I don't know if Shez has got it in him, whether he's passionate enough to want to do it. He was going to retire, and he came in to finish off a few games. That's a big difference between building a squad and doing all the stuff that needs to be done. I think that Abdallah will probably want to keep him on because he suspects that it will sell tickets if he does. And I suspect that's the only reason he wants to keep him on. I can't imagine Moore staying out of it for a whole season or 2 seasons. And so I can see friction happening between Shez and Moore until it all just goes tits up. So the only way, if they are going to stay, is for that to happen. They have to take a completely hands-off approach. They have to bring somebody in to run the football club properly. Somebody who knows how to run a non-league football club. It's just, I can't see how this ends well this coming season at all.
It's probably been said already tonight, but I really feel sorry for John Sheridan. Because Johnny Shares is an absolute hero of Oldham Athletic, and he must not forget that. You know, when he came in on a free transfer in '98, I thought he's only got one leg left. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's he going to do for Oldham Athletic? And he's by far single-handedly the most creative man I've ever seen with a football at his feet. And since then, you know, he's given us belief. He took us to the playoffs. He's resurrected this club twice over in League One. And God bless him, he had, you know, had the attitude that he could do it again for a third time this time around. And he gave us the belief. He gave us a stay of execution for weeks, didn't he? You know, like Scunthorpe away. I know I was blotted, Matt. I'd had a fair few
you were
by that point,
mate.
but
You
to
had a
be
great
fair,
day. Big
I had
smile
a
on your
great day,
face.
absolute great day.
Yeah.
But by the end of that day, I thought, this is it. We're staying up. The Messiah has returned. This is it. You know, and for him to give us that belief for such a short period of time, I'll never forget that. You know, like.
And seeing him hurt like we hurt.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In recent weeks, he suffers, doesn't he, like us?
Yeah, because he is one of us. That's the point,
He is.
isn't he?
He is.
And he'll be hurting tonight because he probably came in thinking, I can do this. I can save them, and you know, that'll be the high that I go out on. And he will be hurting tonight, but he should have no blame on his shoulders for you know, like it's just the damage was well done way before Shez entered the building. So I just hope that people remember that. And like you said, Matt, you know, those keyboard warriors, that they stick away from Shez because he hasn't got anything to do with this. The damage was done by Lemsgans long before.
Definitely.
Shall we? I think we'll think about wrapping it up, but I'd like to get something from you all that give us something to give us some hope. Give us the thing inside you that makes you believe things are going to be better.
I've got some.
Go on, Nathan.
Right. So, essentially, I mean, I don't think what any people knows, but essentially, for the past few years, I've been running. Since, funny enough, the week before lockdown, good timing, I started a National League page. I had no idea that, you know, I think we were doing okay in League Two, mid-table, and obviously now it's come. So I've sort of, I don't claim to be an expert, but I've looked at the National League a little bit more than average, but nowhere near as much, obviously, as anyone who's obviously been in there. And my hope is this: I've seen other clubs that it gets so bad that, like I said, the value drops, and someone else is allowed to come in much cheaper than if they bought a League Two club. So I've seen it like Notts. I've seen it obviously Wrexham, as everyone knows, obviously with the two lads they've got there. Obviously, don't think we'll get anything like that, but you know what I mean. I've seen at some of these clubs that it gets so bad that people pack up and somebody else with a new vision comes in, and that you've got these clubs at Stockport as well get so bad that someone could come in with a new fresh of ideas, and there's a bit of an injection in there that boosts everybody that we're going to do something. And I look at the fact that Notts County, after only a few seasons, are doing well. Stockport, listen, I know they went down to a National League North, but I think this is like their second or third season. I think, back in the National League, and the top of it, you know, things like that. That it hopefully, because I don't was again, there's no divine right. Nobody has any divine right to be anywhere, but because the fact is, out of all the clubs that have gone down from the national from League Two, we are one of the bigger ones in terms of size and fan base. That somebody will take a punt on us. They'll look at it and go, "There's a project here. I can get these back into League Two, and in a few years, maybe even League One, and then who knows from there." That'll boost us, and I'll say this now. Under the new ownership, I'd go down. I'd be weeding out the stuff, cleaning the seats, doing anything to boost it. There'd be players who look at the club and go, I can be part of that story. I can be the player who joins in the National League, gets them back up to League Two, and then does well in League Two. They can be part of the story. They can be this generation. It sounds mad. Ian Marshall's, Roger Palmer's, Joe Royal, the manager. You know that what I mean? Because we've not had that. We've had Shez and these few players. They could be that generation who sort of go, we're going to give Oldham something. Just like I remember what Zach Mills said when he played for Morecambe. Says, this is the club I want to play for. And that's when he was in League Two. So imagine what it'd be like for National League when people look at that and go, I want to play for Oldham. I'm one of the best National League players. I want to play for Oldham. And that's my hope, is that it's got so bad that that something good will happen. Hopefully it shouldn't get any worse. But yeah.
The thing is, Shez has given that though, hasn't he? Shez has put 3,500 fans on the gate. If he leaves at the end of the season, whoever wants to come in and they buy us at our bottom rate, or when they finally decide to leave, there's a club there. Shez has given us a club. There's a fan base there and wait. It's waiting there, ready to go. Just somebody needs to push the button.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that because we're all here tonight and collectively we all feel the same, we've all got the passion, we've all got the belief, and we can support each other. And if we carry on doing that, then we will get back up there. Definitely. There's always got to be hope.
It's all what kills you, isn't it? As they say.
It is. That's exactly what we've been saying for weeks.
I know. Look, I mean,
we can do it.
We've all had numerous relationships in our life. We've all fallen out with friends. We've all fallen out with lovers and partners and all this kind of stuff. We've been through all kinds of ups and downs, but we've never, ever stopped supporting our football team. You have one football team and that is it. It stays with you. And you sometimes just turning up to the games is enough. But other times, like this time, just turning up to the games isn't enough. And turning up to the games might be the thing that we shouldn't be doing. And putting our money into something else might be what we need to do. We're going to have to take a long, hard look at it. We're going to have to come together and we're going to have to decide what that is. But together, we can do that. We are way, way stronger. I looked Abdallah in the eye via Zoom, unfortunately, and told him when he failed to take responsibility for anything, I said, you're not going to beat us. We are more passionate. There's more of us. We've got more belief, and you won't grind us down. We'll get the club back. It's inevitable. And that's my message to him tonight. Just make an exit strategy, communicate that with us, and leave us to it. Leave us to repair the mess that you've left us with, and don't let it get any worse.
I think he'll know that, Matt. I think he'll know that deep down in his heart. I think he'll know that he's made a bloody mess of all of this. And let's face it, Abdullah's got his fingers in many pies. He'll have money in other businesses, and Oldham Athletic is probably bottom of the pile in terms of preference and priority at the moment. And he'll want us off his hands. And you asked for a message of hope before we go tonight, and I think I do genuinely believe that this is the time now for us all to stand up and to take ownership of this football club. If we care so passionately about it, to do something about it. Because if we stand back and let it decline any further, we'll be down in the Conference North. Before you know it, we'll be down in the echelons of the non-league football, and I don't want that for Oldham Athletic. I think I said before, I'm 37 now. I think if Stockport have taken 12 years to get back to Football League, I don't want to be in my 50s when Oldham Athletic are back in the Football League. But it could be that could be the reality. We've got to take ownership of this now. We've got to stand up and make sure that we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we're putting it on the table and saying, look, Abdullah, we want our football club back. We've had enough of this shit for 4 years now, pal, and we want it back. And I'll be honest, I think, why would you want to stick around?
Nathan mentioned it before, didn't he, about the motive? What's the reason? We don't know. but let's make it as uncomfortable for him as possible. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Listen, thanks for joining us, everyone. We could sit and talk about this kind of stuff all night, but it is what it is. We all need to go and reflect a little bit. Wake up in the morning. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. And we might not be feeling good, but we have to be optimistic about the future. It's because the future's going to happen. Whether it's up to us to determine what that future looks like. Get yourselves along to the fans forum if you can. We're going to be streaming it. Let us know what you think. I'm fading some music up here. I'm going to do a really cool sign out. I don't know if you can hear it. It's coming in there now. It's like music. There we go. Yeah. All right. So, thanks for joining in. Commiserations to us all. But it don't matter. Because Oldham Athletic is going to carry on, we're going to carry on, and it's going to be bigger, it's going to be brighter, it's better. It's always darkest before the dawn, and dawns are beautiful. So don't worry about it, it's going to be fine. And if you want to blame anybody, blame these guys. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Podcast is out on Monday morning at 7 o'clock. We'll record that tomorrow. And keep your chins up and have a good week. Cheers, everybody.
Take care. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.